So the video, it was out a couple of days later. This week, just I've had to do a lot of things this week personally. And also I made been rushing tape and stuff recently, so I wanted to really be focused on tape and studying fights as much as I could, rather than just skipping over some tape and fights. Um, but yeah, so first up, Joel Alvarez versus Alexander Yakovlev. So Joel Alvarez guillotined Joe Duffy in his last fight. Before that, took out Bilardo, who's don't believe is with the UFC anymore. And then before that, he faced one of the top rising prospects of the UFC and Demir Ismagulov, who I think's next level, prospect. But um, so Joe Alvarez, he's known for being a grappler. He's more jiu-jitsu guy in wrestling. He tends to get taken down quite a lot, but he sort of welcomes takedowns because he snatches on the necks really. 15 wins or 17 wins on his record, I believe. Yep, and 15 subs. So he likes to get these darce chokes, the guillotines and stuff, as we've seen. And when Joe Duffy took him down, he straight away lamped on the guillotine. Joe Duffy had the tap, and Joe Duffy's no slouch on the ground. He has good jiu-jitsu. But the thing is, Joe Alvarez can be taken down. But at the same time, he might let, because he has some good leg locks, obviously good front chokes. He will come up. His worst style matchup is a good wrestler with submission defense who can stay on top of him, like Gregor Gillespie or something like that. But I don't think Yakovlev fits into that territory. Yakovlev for me, he's on the way out. He's 36 now. He is one of three in his last four. Didn't look great against Roosevelt Roberts, and the thing is about Roosevelt Roberts, we've seen his true colours. He's not as bright as we once thought he was, maybe, especially in light of recent performances. But to be fair, he did tap out Alex De Silva, but it was weird because I thought De Silva maybe was winning that fight, and then he gave up his neck and get tapped out. But Yakovlev not great on the feet, backs up behind the black lines, willing to get hit. He does get submitted. He does leave his neck in some bad positions. We've seen that in the Roberts fight. He didn't get finished, but see, every time Yakovlev even went to take Roberts down, he was leaving his neck exposed. And if he does that against Joe Alvarez, he's fucked. He's gonna get tapped. But also, if the fight stays on the feet, to give the advantage to Alvarez, because his stand up for me has been improving. Seen that in the Joe Duffy fight, he was torturing Joe Duffy's lead leg. I know Yakovlev is a southpaw, but he still has the inside leg kick to go to. And then he looked good on the feet against Bilardo as well, so he did. So I do rate Alvarez. I think the UFC's given him a matchup where he can look good here with Yakovlev, because Yakovlev's on the way out. Just in hindsight, obviously, Alvarez has come in 3.5 pounds over the lightweight limit here, so he's gonna have a weight advantage as well. So like Alvarez here, so I think he taps out Yakovlev, I think he pieces him up on the feet, and then Yakovlev ends up hitting a lazy double, gets caught in like a guillotine or darce, whatever. So Joel Alvarez by subber. Not gonna spend too much time in this next fight. Miranda Maverick versus Liana Joshua. Now, Maverick, to me, she does look like the real deal. She's very talented. She's a good prospect, so she is. But for me, like, she shouldn't be minus 450 range. Not a chance. I don't think so anyway. Like, it's a wee bit wild. I'm not saying go out and bet Joshua, like, but I'm just saying the value side's on her. Or if you want to play perhaps maybe Maverick decision's not bad, but Maverick does tend to she does tend to get finishes, so she does. So who knows really. I think she can hit takedowns here, Maverick. She seems very strong. Um, I think she was part-time fighter before UFC. Now I believe since she's got the contract and stuff, she is training full-time, which is good. I think that's the deal because remember in Invicta she was like a university student as well as fighting, like just balancing it out. So I believe she's took the 2 feet in approach here, which is good for her, good for her career. To be fair, like there's some value on decision then. I think didn't know it was that price. It's not bad, like, but I don't know. Don't know. It's hard to call. Like, Jojo was not great. She submitted Balbita in her last performance and then got knocked out by Sarah Morris before that, where she looked terrible in that one. In the Balbita fight, I bet Balbita in that one. It was just a terrible, women's low-level women's MMA. The game plan and fight IQ is just ridiculously bad. But so Balbita's only path to victory in that one was to stand up on the feet and just pace Jojo up. She ends up taking her down, getting armbarred. Jojo, her best go-to submission and her best, weapon in her fight game is her armbar. So if Maverick takes her down and ends up lazy, with top control and stuff, watch out for the arm, like, because Jojo is no slouch with that armbar, I would say. But it says here in Topology, her foundation style is Muay Thai. No way. She's like a judo player, so she is Jojo. But yeah, I think Maverick wins her. What am I gonna say? Let me just check. I will say Miranda Maverick by decision. I think that's the value side here if you're gonna go with anything. So next up, Dan Jung versus Sam Alvey. Dan Jung, we seen not good Mike Rodriguez in his last performance, just over a minute, and just after the fact and stuff, and now seeing it from right now, that's a good win for him. That's very good win. Mike Rodriguez, he's no slouch on the feet. He might not be the quickest guy, but he's good striker, so he is. So that's a great win for Dan Jung. Before that, he had the weird fight with Ibrahimov. Ibrahimov comes out first round, throws a 100-punch combo against the fence against Dan Jung, and then gas himself out, and then can't even barely stand the third round. And Dan Jung submits him with standing guillotine. Ibrahimov is just terrible. Like he's brutal. So don't read in too much in that one. But I do like Dan Jung. He's good on feet. He's patient. He good job and stuff. He has some decent Western boxing for a Korean folk. So he does. And he trains over in Korean top team as well. So it says here he's 26, but I think it's disputed because I'm almost sure on Sherdog it says that he's 34 or something like that. So I don't know what age he is, to be honest, but he's low on fighting miles. That's all that matters really. And he's coming up against Sam Alvey, who went to split decision against Ryan Spann in his last fight. And it was a close fight in that one because Sam Alvey hurt Spann twice in the third round in that one. And he really hurt him with the check right hook, so he did. When Ryan Spann was blitzing in, Sam Alvey's counter puncher, he likes to wait until you come at him, and then he tries to catch you with his check right hook right to the chin, tries to knock you out. But he's patient, he stays behind the black lines and just backs up really. So if he doesn't find, the punch he's looking for, he ends up either losing decision or in the odd occasion getting knocked out. But he's only get stopped twice in his career. And see the Jimmy Crute one, that was an early stoppage. I would have to watch the Little Nog one because I haven't seen it in quite a while. I'm almost sure that could be an early stoppage. I can't remember. Actually, I don't think it is. I don't think that one is actually. Don't think so. But I just remember he wasn't fully out in that one, I believe. So he does have a good chin, especially for his age and his fight mileage and stuff. And he took some shots in the Ryan Spann fight, so he did. Ryan Spann was hitting him with some bombs in the first and second round, and he just took him. So his chin's there, his durability's there. I believe he's going to be backing up as he usually does, as history would point us to. He's going to be backing up the whole time, waiting for Dan Jung to come forward and really try and catch him with something. So Sam Alvey's just going to be doing his usual thing, counter striking while backing up. And I just think this fight is Dan Jung's to lose, so the lane's a wee bit wide, but I do expect him to win. But I don't think he finishes Sam Alvey, so I like Dan Jung by decision there. I think he plays patient, keeps Alvey behind the black line and never gets, in the close exchange with Alvey and not getting hit with the check right hook, really, and just outpointing him, because Dan Jung's volume is fairly high to Sam Alvey's, who's just badly low volume, so it is. So Dan Jung by decision there. Alright, next up, Alex Oliveira versus Shavkat Rakhmonov. So this is a great fight. I think this fight will probably be fight in night, to be honest. Alex Oliveira, he always brings it, so he does. Really good kicker. He has good tape up the middle and good rear tape as well, so he does straight to the solar plexus. He hurt Sabata with it loads of times. Like Sabata, he could have finished him, Alex Oliveira, and then Alex Oliveira, he hurt his right foot in that one when he's going for the rear tape, so he did in round 3 or something. So maybe that's why I didn't finish him. I actually bet Oliveira in that one, so I did. He's like minus 160, so he was. So like that line, I bet him. He just dominated Sabata. But he seems to have the problem where his foot always gets hurt from constantly going to the rear tape and stuff. Seen that in the Mike Perry fight, he dislocated his toe in that one, had to get it put back in place in round 3. But Alex Oliveira, his game is to come. Good striker. He catches people in chokes as well if you take him down. He's not the best off his back, definitely not. But for example, if you shoot a lazy double, he can catch you in a guillotine, no problem. He tapped out Carlos Condit with a guillotine, and then he's tapped out Tim Means and stuff. So Alex Oliveira, he is good, but before the Sabata fight and with crowds and stuff, I think that was a factor. He tended to gas out, so he did. He tended to slow down in like second and third round. I don't know why, because he just used to throw a lot of wild capoeira stuff and get really engaging brawls. But in Sabata fight, he was more technical. He's more patient, which prolonged his gas tank. Like, see, in the third round, he didn't look one bit tired, so he didn't. And he looked like he'd go 5 rounds in the Sabata fight. So Shavkat Rakhmonov, M1 global welterweight champion, great prospect from the Russian circuit. He's only 26, fighting out of Kazakhstan. He's very good striker, good crisp boxing. Alex Oliveira, if he lets Rakhmonov get in boxing range, he's gonna have some problems. So he is, but as long as Alex Oliveira keeps it in kicking distance and doesn't let Rakhmonov, really back him up and start firing out combos, he should be all right. I'd like him to win here, Oliveira, but saying that, Rakhmonov's just on his way up, so he is. Momentum's with him, even though it's his UFC debut and stuff. I do think this guy's very legit. We're yet to see how good his ground game is. His top control seems good. He has good ground and pound and stuff, but we're yet to see how all around, um, wrestling game is, how he is off his back. Maybe Cowboy Oliveira hits a takedown, gets on top and just works his jiu-jitsu game. Who knows? I don't think so. I tend to believe his fight will be on the feet, so they. And I don't know, it's very close, so it is, but if I'm going to say it with someone, it's going to be Cowboy Oliveira, so it is. I just think he looked very good in his last fight, so he did. He looked like a new fighter, so he did. Not necessarily new, but he just looked like a reformed Cowboy Oliveira. His cardio was there. He looked as good as ever on the feet. His teeth was unbelievable. It's a great weapon. And, his major weakness in all of his losses was his cardio, and it seemed to be rectified there. So, it's hard not to go with Oliveira here, especially as the underdog now, slight underdog, so he is. Versus the newcomer Rachmanov. But saying that, I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if Rachmanov, really tunes up Oliveira on the feet with his boxing, maybe, pressurize him. But it's a close one. The bookies have it right. It deserves to be picking. Maybe if you got Rachmanov, I think he was like plus 170 at one point. Maybe that's a good bet. Like, that's not bad values there, but I'll go with Oliveira since he's the underdog, and Journey as good as his last fight, and he looked amazing in his last fight. So I like Oliveira by decision. I think it'll be fucking a brilliant fight. So they're on the feet. Casey Kenny versus Nathaniel Wood. Now this one's a close one for me. I know I'm only after saying you're only as good as your last fight, but it's a wee bit different in this one because Hailey Al-Tank, I mean, he's decent. Like, he's not, I don't think he'll be ranked anytime soon. Like these two gentlemen will be in the future, I think. Casey Kenny just looked unbelievable in that fight. He looked as good as he ever was. His kicks were fucking ridiculous. Like, unbelievably good. Never seen him look that good in the feet. He was just blasting Al-Tank with kicks all day long. At the body and all, he just destroyed him. But saying that, Al-Tank was very stationary. He wasn't really moving as much. And when you speak about Nathaniel Wood, he is moving all the time, so he is. The kicks work because they work so often because Al-Tank was stationary. I don't think Nathaniel Wood would be stationary here. He's always moving. He's always throwing. One of his key moves is his inside leg kick, and I expect him to be using it here quite a lot. So I like Nathaniel Wood, so especially on the feet. I think he's good. Very high volume, which I like. He is always moving. He's, apart from the Dodson fight, he's never really been hurt. So he hasn't. And that was, I'm not going to say it was a fluke or anything, but I thought Nathaniel Wood was winning that fight. So but he still get caught. I mean, but at the same time, Casey Kenny doesn't have the level of boxing that John Dodson does. So is he really going to catch him with punches here? I don't know. Now if we just look at the odds, Nathaniel Wood's plus 160 dog here. I think it's plus 150 now. When I tipped it, he was plus 160. I don't know, I just like Nathaniel Wood here. Like his volume, I think this will go with the judges' scorecards. I think it'll be close. I'm more willing to pick the higher volume guy, the guy who's always moving. I just think maybe Nathaniel Wood is just slightly better than Casey Kenny on the feet here, I think. But, Casey Kenny might just come out here and use his wrestling, so he might on Nathaniel Wood, and he could very easily get the win that way, so he could. But I don't know. If we're talking about value, I have to go with Nathaniel Wood here. So he's just a wee bit slightly more polished on the feet for me. So he is. And if it goes to the judges' scorecards, I could see them giving the nod to Nathaniel Wood over Casey Kenny. Because I think he's just always going to be moving, peppering Casey Kenny the whole fight. His cardio, he can go all day. So can Casey Kenny, to be fair. But I don't know. It's just like Nathaniel Wood's style. And this one over Casey Kenny, so I'm siding with the underdog here. I think Nathaniel Wood wins by decision. Not very confident in it, but A plus 150, I think it's not bad. Stefan Struve really, he really like gave in when it happened type of thing. He just backed up and he just get hit by Raphael a ton and then ended up just getting put down because Raphael knew because he had the point deduction he had to go for the finish, so that was kind of fucked up in my opinion, that one. Just the whole situation there. Stefan Struve, he did look alright, especially on the feet. He looked sweet in that one. But he's not a guy you want to be betting on, so he's not Stefan Struve. It's a close one, this one for me, so it is. Tai Tuivasa, I think we've seen his ceiling. The upper reach of his ceiling. I don't think he's as good as we once thought, but he was cut from the UFC and he was brought back there. So he was just first fight. He was cut after the Spivak fight when he got choked out after Spivak took him down, just on top of him, ended up arm triangling him. So if someone has a big advantage somewhere here in this fight, it's Stefan Struve on the ground. So it is, and he does have a big advantage there. So even if Tai Tuivasa drops Stefan Struve, if he drops him and then goes into the guard of Stefan Struve, it's dodgy, like, because Stefan Struve could just catch what do you call him, Tai Tuivasa in a triangle choke or dart or something like that. He could just catch him because Tai Tuivasa has a big hold in this game on the ground, so it does big time for me. And it seems like he's quite easily taken down, so it does. I've seen that in the Spivak fight. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to call this one. If I'm gonna go with someone, it's gonna be Stefan Struve. So it is. But I'm not confident because if someone has a big advantage somewhere in this fight, it's Stefan Struve on the ground, and it is a big advantage, as I say. So who knows if he can turn it around? But if I'm gonna pick one, it's gonna be Struve by submission. But I wouldn't be rushing out to bet this fight ever. No way. So next up, Magomed Ankalaev versus Ian Cutelaba. I've already broken down this fight on a previous video. I'm not going to spend any more time on it. It is what card was it? Let me check. Is there a way I can check? Let me see. I think it was UFC 252. I think the video I posted for that. So check it out if you're interested. But basically, the gist of it is, I think Live's just too good for Ian Cutelaba. Any way he wants to win here, I think he can win. On the ground, by slowing Cutelaba down or on the feet. I think there's just levels to this. I think Live's just much better fighter than Cutelaba, and I think he probably knocks him out, so he does. So next up, Lauren Murphy versus Lilia Shakarova. Shakarova, she comes over from the Russian circuit. She was, I believe, she was on the Russian Olympic wrestling team, so she was. And if you watch the tape of her, she does have good takedowns and stuff. She's a good wrestling game, so she does. Especially for like all the size of her, very explosive. But her striking's terrible, like, so it is. So she's one trick pony. She relies on getting these women down to basically to win the fights. Do I think she can do it against Lauren Murphy? Probably not. Lauren Murphy most likely too big for her, too strong for her. But Shakarova probably will have some decent spots in this one. She's GFC champion, so she is at 125. I don't think she can take Murphy down for long periods of time, like winning rounds. Don't think she can bank rounds on Murphy, but I think she can have some decent spots. So I guess one's better for live betting, but I think Lauren Murphy just in UFC debut is just, it's too much of a step up. It's too big of a fight. Lauren Murphy's like a couple of fights out of title contention, so she is probably, and then she's getting a UFC newcomer. So I like Lauren Murphy here, most likely by decision, because I can't see her finishing Shakarova. Shakarova is durable, so she's, it's very tough. So yeah, Lauren Murphy by decision there. So next up, Phil Hayes versus Phil Hawes, should I say actually, versus Jacob Malkoun. So Hawes, seen him on the Contender Series twice. He got knocked out by Julian Marquez, and then he finished Bestiev in his last one. And the Bestiev fight was, it's a good fight for him to have because he was expected to win it. So he was. Like Bestiev isn't the greatest, so he isn't. And Phil Hawes got the job done, but his level of competition hasn't been great, so it hasn't. And then when he came up against decent competition, Hawes, he has got beat, so he has. But Jacob Malkoun, he is 4-0, and he has, he's coming into the UFC. I think it's way too soon. I think he should probably have double the fights he has now before he fights in the UFC, and he hadn't really fought anyone of note. Now he does seem like a decent striker, but in his fights he was facing cans, so can't really take much from that. But he looks, he trains with Whitaker. He seems like he's very tough. It'd be hard to finish, in my opinion, Malkoun. But I don't know, it's just, Phil Hawes just seems like the more well-rounded guy, so he does. Or just, not even more well-rounded, just more polished on the feet. Phil Hawes striker, so he is. Jacob Malkoun striker. I would give the edge in striking to Hawes. Just with striking power, technique on the feet, and just all round stand-up game. I would give the advantage to Hawes. So I can see why he's favoured here. He's a wee bit too wide, so he is, because there's a lot of unknowns in this fight. That's why I'm not betting it. But saying that, Hawes' gas tank isn't great, so it isn't. So if this fight goes over 1.5 rounds, maybe look at the odds on Malkoun, because he may take over. Because he does seem like he has good cardio and stuff. He doesn't seem like one to slow down, because I watched his win over Tameze. He didn't slow down or anything in that fight, and I don't think he would here. So Phil Hawes, he sort of finish or bust for me, so he is. But I'll go with Hawes by TKO on that one there. So overall. So next up, Volkov versus Walt Harris. So interestingly enough, Volkov is weighed in at 265. Now if you just look at the weigh-ins of Volkov before, 240s, 249s, 245s. He's never been this heavy before, ever. Not even in the Greg Hardy fight, where he was coming up against, very big heavyweight in Greg Hardy, so we are unsure why he is that heavy and how it will affect him, but he might look slower here. So it tends to happen if heavyweights come in a reasonable amount heavier. There's just more plodding, more slow, and Volkov can't be like that, so he can't against Walt Harris, especially in round one, because Walt Harris is a big problem in round one, so he is. Most of his wins have came in the first half of the fight, so in the Overeem fight, he weighed in at 264.5, and he looked out of shape in that one, so he did, because he usually comes in at, as I say, 250 odds, 240 odds in his earlier days, and mostly 250 odds, but he has went back. He's lost a few pounds. He's back into the mid 250 range, so he is now, which is good. He didn't look great in the Overeem fight. He did drop him and stuff, but I just mean like his weight and stuff. He looked at kind of good bit of fat on him, so he did, to be honest, and he's a wee bit more filled out than he should have been. Maybe why he gassed so hard just in the first round. But if we're just going with the more polished striker, more technical striker, it's Alexander Volkov, who it is. Blades didn't want any part of Volkov's striking, so he didn't. And we'll all see what happened in Derek Lewis fight. He was winning that fight. He was 11 seconds off getting the decision victory, and then he just kept coming forward, like he was like risk free or something. He wasn't gonna get knocked out, and then Lewis just sparked him out. So he can't do what he did in the Lewis fight, where he carries his chin hand on. He's not really fighting smart, being cautious. He just got put out by Lewis. We did. He got complacent, and then he does have the good decision win over Hardy, who we're starting to see is very legit heavyweight. So he is. And he looked back to his usual self. So he did Volkov in that one. He fought long. He jabbed, tapes. Probably the best tape up at heavyweight, to be honest, is Volkov. And he has very long legs, and he uses them. He's only 31, but it feels like he's been fighting forever, so it does. Former Bellator heavyweight champion. If he does have a weakness in his game, it's obviously off his back and getting taken down. But Walt Harris won't be taking Volkov down, so he won't. So this fight will be contested on the feet. I'll just give the edge to Volkov, so do, but don't really like his odds, so don't right now. I think they could come down a wee bit, so do. Ever so slightly, and it may be a decent bet if he comes down, but I guess fight probably is better off for live betting, because Walt Harris is live in round one, so he is always in every fight. He's a problem in round one, and then after round one he just falls off, so he does. But I'll go with Volkov by decision that one. I don't think he finishes Harris. He might, but I just think that Harris has good round one, then slows down. So Bobby Knuckles versus Jared Cannonier next up in the co-main event. So this is the title eliminator here, up at 185. So to be honest, I kind of wrote off Robert Whittaker after the Adesanya fight, because I just think he was taking far too much damage. And then he came out in the Till fight and he looked good, so he did. Initially I scored that fight live for Till, but with hindsight and rewatching it, I would give it to Whittaker. Just Till's volume was a joke in that one. Whittaker blew out Till's knee with a oblique kick, so he did. And I think that's why Till's volume was so low. And then he ended up just chopping down at Till's calf and stuff. Even though they were opposite stances, he was still chopping down his calf. With like a front leg sort of outside calf kick. Very interesting, the way he employed that. So for Whittaker, he just really mitigated the calf of Till, slowed down his movement, even though they were opposite stances, as I say. But Jared Cannonier, mostly a orthodox fighter, so he is. Let me see. So it'll be the outside leg kick. It'll be open for Jared Cannonier, or for Robert Whittaker. But to be honest, Cannonier actually probably has better leg kicks than Whittaker, so he does. And a path to victory for Cannonier is the leg kicks, to be honest, because there's a certain interview, if you watch Robert Whittaker, where he was on his podcast with his coach, and they're joking about how Whittaker doesn't really check his leg kicks, so he doesn't. And as we've seen with Cannonier, especially at 185, he just has, debilitating leg kicks. We've seen it in Manson fight, we've seen it against Silva. He ends up just TKing on with leg kicks in that one. And then Hermanson, Cannonier was really, messing up Hermanson's movement and legs with his calf kick in that one. So Bobby Knuckles' karate style, always, always moving on the feet. With his karate style, he's always very light on his feet. So one way for Cannonier to mitigate that is the leg kicks. And if he goes to it here, he will have success, because if he slows Robert Whittaker down, his movement will slow down, and then he'll be more open for the shots on the feet, the punches, in close quarter range. And Cannonier does have the power advantage in this one, so he does. I would give the edge to him in terms of power, especially at 185. He just looks like a brute. So that is a way for Cannonier to win this fight, but whether he does that, whether he employs that game plan, it remains to be seen. Who knows? But if he does, I think he'll win. But you're sort of relying on him fighting a certain way, so you are. And who knows if he will, because you can't say at the end of the day. We're not Nostradamus or anything. Whether he fights the way that he should is another thing. But if we're just going off resume, historical, data, in wins, in higher level of competition, it falls on Robert Whittaker. So it does. He's fought the better guys. He's got wins over the better guys. It wasn't too long ago the Cannonier was getting knocked out by Reyes. He was losing decisions on the feet to Yan. There's no shame now, but I just don't think Cannonier is the guy that people make him out to be. He's not like the next big thing. I don't think he is. If I'm gonna go with one, it's the underdog here. It's Whittaker, so it is. Because he's just more proven, and he proved in the Till fight for me. He's still gritty. He still wants to win, because it didn't look good for him in round one in that fight. He got dropped and stuff, but he did come back, and he really put it on Till, so he did. So he's not out, no way. The damage he's received probably a wee bit overemphasized, so it is. And I think unless he gets leg kicked for the whole fight and really gets his legs debilitated, I think Whittaker probably uses his movement and in and out striking just to beat Cannonier. I'll say by decision, but if Cannonier does employ those leg kicks, I'd say he could win this fight, but I'll go with Whittaker ultimately by decision. So next up, main event, Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Justin Gaethje. What's there to be said about this fight? Justin Gaethje, he's Khabib's toughest opponent, but still think Khabib gets it done, so do. He's just ultimately too good, so he is. I think he's the best lightweight ever. I think he'll retire undefeated, 30-0. He's just that good, so he fights, top lightweights, as I said on Twitter, and just dominates them. Like, it's not even close. So what makes me think that Gaethje is going to be any different, really, to be honest? And if you listen to Gaethje's interviews and stuff from previously, he says, you can go back and watch him, I think it was in the lead up to the Alvarez fight, he's got 15 minutes. The reason why he doesn't wrestle is because he's got like 10 minutes of wrestling in him before he gets very tired. So that's why he doesn't wrestle, because he gets tired from it. And he's learned that from his days wrestling collegiately. So that's why you've never seen him wrestle before. And obviously Khabib's whole game is getting people down, making them tired and making them tap. I just think he does it. I think he gets Gaethje down. I think he just jumps on his legs in round one, and then just from there Gaethje is just slowed down, and Khabib just takes over and does the same next round and ends up finishing him by sub. That's just what I think happens. Yes, this is Khabib's toughest fight now, yes, fair enough, but one thing I thought was interesting was Gaethje does have the right game plan for this one. He talked about car crashes, so he's got like a range, an area of danger where Khabib can't enter. If he does, he's just gonna crack him, which is the right game plan, 100%. But especially against Khabib, but I just don't think. Ultimately, I don't think Gaethje is the guy to beat Khabib, so I don't. I just think Khabib takes him down and does what he's always done, and I just think he subs him late, sort of. So that's the card wrapped up. I think Khabib's. I just think he's being overlooked here a wee bit, sort of. Even though he's minus 3 350. I was just seeing some people come out and betting them and stuff. Not for me, no way. So that's card wrapped up. So see you all next week. Have a good one.